Let me just make it very abundantly clear. This is based on how effective they are in the team and as a player, and how ineffective they are in a team as a player. And we'll just go in order. Ashe, let's think. Ashe is okay. So Ashe has a pretty good mobility tool, right? In her ability. But other than that, not much that I feel like is that great. What do you think, Dre?
For Ashe?
Yeah. Here, I'll place it back up for you here.
I say Ashe was like, yeah, her mobility, and then like she does like the grenade or whatever. I would use put on like a D.
I think Ashe is D. I think that makes sense. All right, next up is Bangalore. Now, Bangalore is weird because in a good player's hands, Bangalore can be really good.
Yeah.
The fact that when she gets shot, she instantly runs like half as fast, or like, 1.5. That's really good. The smoke is great for reviving, for running around, for like misdirection. And the ult is great for zoning. I think she has a lot that's great. I think Bangalore has a fucking ton that's really good. But them voice lines. Those voice lines get her an F.
Oh
man, you couldn't script that. That's so fun. I'm gonna give her an A. I think Bangalore can be really good if played well. I think she can be really good if played well. She's just a good zoner. She's good at giving your team space. And I think that's what Bangalore does best. And if played well, she can be really good. If not played well, though, she can be a really big nuisance. She could smoke you in a fight where like now the other team has the advantage and you can't see. There are times where her running around is very selfish and she gets away from the team fight as opposed to more into it. And I feel like if you don't utilize that well, you end up doing more damage than good. Now, Bloodhound, I know you're a bit biased to Bloodhound, but I definitely think he's great. But I think he also has some faults in the sense that out of all the people who get vision, his is selfish because his ult is all for him, right? He can see everything in red. Yeah, it's all for him. His scan's good, but it also lets everybody know where you are. Like, yeah, directly. It's very loud. It's like a very whatever. And I also feel like his screen's filled with so much fucking clutter, it's almost impossible. You know what I mean? It's like, there's a lot on his screen. Footsteps and ravens and just like 10 seconds go and everything else.
I would do Bloodhound B.
I think it's a B. Because he's still very useful.
Yeah.
But it's just a bit less useful than somebody like maybe, I would honestly say Seer has more use case than Bloodhound. So like, if you look at Seer in the same category as Bloodhound, you get a Q that scans it for the whole team and then shows you their health as well. So you get the Bloodhound scan, but now you can see their health and where they are.
But then, Seer's just like a straight thing. Like there's not much more. Bloodhound at least is like everywhere. Seer just like
T-Max, Seer's way better. Yeah. Well, Seer has two other things.
Especially
Bloodhound tracks footsteps, but Seer, if he points in a direction, gets heartbeat, so he can see if you're over there. Then he also has this ult, which is a giant dome that covers a whole like zone. I would give Seer A to S. I think Seer's definitely better than Bloodhound. They both do similar things, but Seer's just, I feel like, are more useful. But a good Bloodhound can get more use out of himself than a good Seer. All right, now we got Catalyst. Catalyst is the new character. I like Catalyst's ability to hold doors, and I also like that big wall for vision. And Catalyst has that spiky grenade that puts like a point where if you go over it, you get slowed down and you take some tick damage. But I also feel like Catalyst almost inspires a type of gameplay that I don't like, which is very sheltered.
Yeah.
It's like you spend a lot of time running and you spend a lot of time trying to like put up walls and close doors and do that. And that's useful, but it's also like, it's a play style that is built towards running and hiding. Now that has its place towards the end game of a round, but in the early game, it just feels like it's just less impactful. So I would give Catalyst maybe a C. I feel like she spikes in the late game, sucks in the early game. And I think that's fair. Then we have Caustic. Now Caustic is Catalyst, but more annoying. Caustic's traps can be shot, right? That's a big weakness.
Yeah.
But very often, good placement of those traps, you'll never see him before they tick off. Then he could block doors with them. Then he also has his ult, which is just a giant smoke bomb. And in his ult, he gets red vision for his team. You could all see where they are in his ult. Everyone glows, so it's like Bloodhound for his whole team. I'd put Caustic in B. With Bloodhound. I think Caustic's really good. I think he can be really good. Even a bad Caustic can still do some good damage. Fucking, I always forget. What's his crypto?
Crypto, yeah.
Cryptocurrency. We got Bitcoin here.
I've never been a fan.
Now, Crypto, when played well, Crypto can be unbelievable. In fact, I think Crypto can be S tier when played well. Because
usually they don't play well. They'll do is move back, just trying to
so I know a really good Crypto player. He will get your banner and revive you. He will fucking stun a whole team right before you engage. He will seek out when circles coming in to see where enemies are coming from, get vision on them, you know, scan them, give a bunch of information. If you can manage that and not be the person who gets stuck in your drone, where people are just they spend all day in their drone and they're not fighting and shooting, Crypto can be S tier. But because it has such a high barrier to entry, I feel inclined to put him in A tier. But I then think about B tier, because I think it's like it's hard to imagine anybody just picking up Crypto and being able to just go crazy with him. He's definitely more B tier, I would say. Now, Fuse used to be like E to F tier, like D to F tier, but recently people are playing him a lot, and I can see why. A lot of the new maps have a lot of buildings, and I feel like Fuse does a good job of pushing you out of a place. So where Bangalore gives you space, Fuse gives you less space, because now you're running from his grenades and bombs, and if he puts it well positioned, you have to run towards them. His ult also gives you Bloodhound vision for the whole team for anyone in the circle, but all of that still does not do enough for Fuse to be anything above, in my opinion, a D tier. Yeah. Anytime you could pick Fuse, you could pick someone better, right? His ult circle is really small, so it doesn't do enough to justify the circle. Fuse's bombs and grenades are good, and the fact that he holds more is good, but it's still not enough. So I'm giving Fuse a D tier. I don't think he's effective enough to really warrant the rest of this. Gibby has to get S tier. Gibby has to get S tier. Ever since the beginning of Apex, Gibby's been an S tier character. People meme on him. He has an impenetrable bubble that gives him an easier res. He has a shield on his front that absorbs about, 50 to 100, I forget how much it is, 50 to 100 damage before his shield gets even taken. And his ult is just like Bangalore's ult in the sense that it gives you some space between your team, except it actually even happens faster. Because Bangalore's ult sets up the bomb, and then you have to wait 10 seconds and they all start blowing up in order. But his just starts firing mortar down from the ceiling off the bat. Gibby all around is a fucking amazing character in my opinion. I think Gibby absolutely deserves S tier, and I don't think it should. I don't have to explain more. That's it. Now Horizon. Can you explain to me what you feel about Horizon?
I feel like she's pretty damn useless unless on really good fucking hands. And her only good thing is like to go up in the air and make a play or escape, but that's about it.
Yeah. So Horizon has that Q, which is really good for positioning. But then you'd rather just have a Valkyrie. Yeah. Then Horizon has her ult, which is a black hole, but you can just run away from it. It has to be positioned in like 2 feet of the character for the black hole to be broken. If you're like 4 feet away from the black hole, you can just run away from it, or just break it. It doesn't even bother you. It's a really selfish character, Horizon, and all that it does. It's a character that's really built to be like a one-person army. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in D tier as well. I don't think anyone's gonna get F. Maybe. Horizon makes sense in the D tier.
Yep.
Lifeline's an S tier. I don't think it's an argument. Lifeline's an S tier. She heals her team. She has a revive that she doesn't need to be there for. Lifeline has a revive bot, which is broken. Lifeline's able to revive people from nothing, and that's awesome. Lifeline can heal, which is really, really amazing for her team and her team comp playability. And her ultimate is literally a care package that gives you guaranteed upgrades for the whole team. Lifeline is a guaranteed S no matter what. Now we have Loba, and Loba is fucking... Oh, Loba's a hard one. Loba A tier. So here's the thing about Loba. Loba's Q sends it flying. So she can move very well. Her ultimate is great for the team. Ammunition refill in the beginning is fucking awesome. Gathering a couple of really good attachments or guns or picking your loadout in the early game is super powerful. That stuff is awesome for Loba. It's hard to find a negative for Loba besides her Q. Other than that, though, I don't see Loba as having really too many downsides. I don't know. I would agree with you, T-Mac. I would agree with you. Loba, I think, is A tier. I think Loba doesn't have many downsides, but does have a lot of upsides. It's not a spectacular character, but nothing is necessarily wrong. So I don't see any issues with Loba. Mad Maggie. I think C for Mad Maggie. Here's the thing about Mad Maggie, right? Mad Maggie's ult is great for disrupting a team and pushing a team. Mad Maggie has the best push a team ult in the game. Better than Octane, better than Valkyrie, better than Revenant, better than any other character in the game. Mad Maggie's ultimate is the best engaging ultimate that exists. She throws that big bouncy orb that goes in and it barrels and it does damage, but it also gives you speed boost as you run along the path that it gave you, and the path is designed to help you dodge bullets. She also has that Q, which does a mortar strike on the other side of a wall that she hits. So as opposed to Fuse, where if you Qs a wall, it blows this way. If she Qs, it goes that way, right? But it's another selfish character. It's another character that really... The bad kind of outweighs the good. It's just a character that needs a really good player to pilot it, and it doesn't feel like you could just take it anywhere. So I'm not a big fan of Mad Maggie. I think C's great. I think that's good. Now here we have another S tier character, Mirage. I mean, I don't even think I have to tell you about Mirage. Come on. Easy to see why Mirage might be just the best character in the game. I think anyone could agree why Mirage is the best character. You got clones that don't take any damage. You know, you go invisible when you're reviving. That's kind of cool, right? You get, I mean, what isn't great? You know what I mean? No, let's be honest. Mirage is F tier. I'll be honest. Let's be honest. I'm the guy who can say this, guys. He's my main.
Mirage is
F tier. He's F tier. He's F tier.
I'm glad you love him, but he brings nothing to the table.
Yeah.
The reses are good. If you've not seen, yeah, you can pick yourself someone.
He's F tier in the streets, S tier in the sheets. You know what I mean? he's Newcastle. So Newcastle actually is pretty good as far as his abilities. If you think about it, if you think about just his abilities, he's really good, right? So Newcastle has a Reinhardt shield that he throws out, and it goes in a straight direction. So it pushes towards a team. He also can revive a teammate while moving. So he could grab you and revive while pulling you behind a rock, right? Which is really, really helpful. He feels clunky. He feels clunky. I don't know how to describe it, but he just feels like he's missing some. I don't know. Have you ever had a Newcastle on your team, you would know what I mean. It feels like everything is kind of happening when you don't want it to happen. It feels like the stuff that isn't happening is kind of like, on paper, he's great. You know, having somebody who can revive you while pulling you behind a rock and throwing out a Reinhardt shield, that's pretty strong. But I've just never seen anyone do it good. You know what I mean?
I've never seen that. I've never even killed Newcastle.
Exactly. He's like, I don't know. It's like if someone said the cure to a disease was underneath a rock at the bottom of the ocean. It's like cool, but I'll never see it. You know what I mean? So it's like he could have any ability. Newcastle could just press a button and win the game. You would never find out. Like, you would have to pick him to find out, and nobody picks him. So it's kind of hard to get a gauge on that, you know? All right, Octane. You know, on paper, Octane's pretty bad, right? On paper. But he's also pretty good, right? So if you look at his Q, he runs faster. That's a very selfish ability that doesn't help his team at all. And in fact, he has to pay in life. He loses health. He loses health, right? So you lose health to run faster. But his ultimate is the second best engaging ultimate in the game, only second to Mad Maggie, who has the best engaging ultimate in the game. Mad Maggie's ultimate is the best to push a fight. Octane's the second best to push a fight. But he also gives you the ability to get height, which is really, really good. Now, he does nothing else that's noteworthy. He just runs fast, and he also has the trampoline. But there's something about his small hitbox and speed that makes him kind of inherently good. Where even if you were new, you're just not going to get shot as much because he's harder to hit. I think I could give him a B. What do you think, Dre?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, I'll let you take this next one, Dre. What do you think about Pathfinder?
Pathfinder, I think he is...
Oh, okay, only helpful if the teammates go down, yeah.
Useless as they come as well, like Mirage, only for his zipline.
Pathfinder useless only for a zipline? I don't know, dude, that zipline's pretty powerful.
Yeah, but...
Zipline's pretty powerful.
So many fucking people play. He's like really good at evading and stuff, and like getting the fuck out of somewhere and going in. But like, that's fucking bad thinking. He doesn't really bring...
So Pathfinder has great high ground takeovers, right?
Yeah.
Great high ground takeovers. He always kills you from behind because he always went above you higher than you could go because of his thing. But he is another selfish character. It's a character that is meant to play for himself besides his ultimate.
Yeah.
I think I would give him the same benefit of the doubt that I would give Octane. I think he's a B. Because I think the same thing with Octane is the same thing as Pathfinder. Their ult is good enough to forgive how selfish they are as a character. Right? But I can't say the same for Mad Maggie or any of the other people. Next character. Rampart. Rampart's A tier. She's A tier. The fact that she could put up an infinity amount of shields in a spot, if you get to circle as Rampart, you could take a whole POI just by yourself. You can put those shields infinitely up. You could put them around a whole building. Then you get a minigun that you could carry around that's broken, shoots faster than any other gun, and you have a certain amount of ammo with it. Rampart's really good. She's definitely an A tier. What holds her back is how clunky she is as a character. She's very heavy, doesn't have very good mobility and movement, and she forces you to play a campy style of gameplay when you really sometimes wish that you could play somebody who has a little bit more mobility, especially towards the late game situations where you don't really want to just be sitting in a corner. You would rather have a Catalyst or somebody else for that building, or like a Caustic, but the fact that she could put up infinity of those barriers and have that minigun just puts her above Caustic and Catalyst in that category. Now, Revenant has such a good ultimate. Such a good ultimate. And his Q is also really strong too. I feel like Revenant is serially undervalued. What do you think, Dre? How do you feel about Revenant?
I think that people don't play him because they don't understand, like, it's harder, like, legend, but a good one can really do something, especially with his, like, ability to go in and get killed, but he's back with his, like, ult and shit. His grenades are great.
And he can climb walls almost infinitely.
Got fucking really high up,
yeah. So here's my thing with Revenant. Revenant forces you to play with another engager, right? You have to. You cannot play Revenant in any comp. You need an Octane, you need a Pathfinder, or you need a Mad Maggie. If you don't have those, Revenant sucks because you have to put your ult far enough away that they don't find it, but then you have to be able to get to that team in like 5 seconds. Otherwise, you're wasting the ult. So you need both. And so in the right comp, Revenant is an S tier. In the bad comp, Revenant is an F tier. And so it's like, it's really hard to know where to place him. So I think A or B. I don't know. Should we give him the benefit of the doubt of an A?
Yeah,
I would say A. Revenant could be so good. You just fucking kind of need a fucking, you just need the comp and the fucking, fuck. Okay, let's see. Valkyrie's an S tier. Whether you want to admit it or not, I'm not good at Valkyrie. So I can't say I'm a good Valkyrie and I'm a good S tier Valkyrie. Valkyrie might be the best character in the game. She has one of the best repositioning abilities ever. She could take your whole team to an entirely different side of the map. That's really strong. And it's fast too. Second, anytime she flies, she gets an AoE, she gets a UAV. She knows where everyone is on the map. That's pretty broken. She also can fly herself and reposition, and she also gets a grenade that blows up a fucking 4x12 area. So you can't even necessarily run from it because it's like 20 grenades that blow up. You know what I mean? I definitely think Valkyrie might be arguably the best character in the game and a necessity in high comp gameplay, but I don't think, I'm not that good at her yet. I don't know, I underutilize her. B-Ball Gabe, welcome in, man, good to see you. Any objections on that, Dre?
No, I completely agree.
Okay. Then let's just get these last 3 wrapped up. Vantage has eyes that are pretty fire. Now let's talk about her actual kit. Bro is destroying Vantage. But here's the thing. As much as I think that Vantage has eyes that are in an argument, then they'll never solve it. Her kit's really good, right? So 1, she has an ultimate that is always on. She has a sniper that has 4 bullets that she can pull out at any time. And those bullets give your team vision on the person you shoot if you hit them, right? It is a sniper with very little lead, okay? And it's a really, really good ultimate. Her Q can send her bat in any direction, 50 meters, and then you can fly to it. So you can put the bat on top of a high ground and fly to it. You can put the bat really far away and you can fly to it. So her repositioning is awesome. And the fact that she has an ability that any gun she has, it will give you an optical that tells you where your bullets are gonna drop if someone's far away. So if somebody's 400 meters away, it will tell you where the crosshair needs to be for you to hit that shot. I think Vantage might be one of the better solo characters in the game if you were just pushing rank solo, but I don't think it's enough to constitute beating out any of the A's or S's, so I definitely think she's a B tier. I agree with you, Just Chris, she's a B tier. So now we have Watson. Watson is an A tier, or S tier, I think. Watson mains are gonna be pretty happy about this. I think Watson's an S tier. Why I think Watson is an S tier is because Watson, 1, has an ultimate that she can place more of that gives you your shields and health back. It just recharges it. So after a good team fight, or even in the middle of a team fight, it stops grenades. So it's an anti-grenade, and it heals your team. So even if you're getting shot, you're healing up, and they can't throw grenades to stop you because it's just gonna soak them up, right? That's awesome. Then she has those cages that she can place all over. And if you position them well, people can't just shoot them because they have to kind of get in, you know what I mean? And do some shit. What do you think about Watson, Dre?
Watson, I believe Watson. Watson,
yeah. I think Watson's S. I think Watson, I mean, I think all the S tiers kind of speak for themselves as to why they're there, you know? And then the final character is Wraith, which I think, God, yeah. So Wraith is the epitome of a selfish character, right? She is the epitome of a selfish character. And if you guys don't know what I mean, because I've said that a bunch of times, it's where their utility is built to help themselves and nobody else on their team, right? But Wraith's portal is really, really good, right? But it has a big flaw in that it's not team exclusive, right? So if Ashe throws her Q, it goes across the map or whatever, her team can come with her, but that's not a 2-way portal. That's just a 1-way exit to get far away. Wraith's portal an enemy team could take, so even if you take it in an emergency, they can just hop right behind you, and you have very little time to prepare for that. She gets away from bullets and everything else, and she can reposition, but again, it's just for her. It does nothing for her team. Her small hitbox is hard to hit, so it is a little bit frustrating to face a Wraith. And she also has the passive ability that if anyone aims at her, she tells her team. So you're notified if somebody else is looking at your squad. You know if you're being scoped out by another team. That's really strong. It's the voice in her head. It's just hard because Wraith and who is it? Newcastle have the opposite problem, right? Newcastle on paper should be really good, but it's hard to execute. Wraith on paper should be really, really bad, but just somehow always is pretty good. I don't know how that happens. I don't know. What do you think? B or C?
Her like teleport or whatever is the only good thing. That's about it.
Well, that's what I said. It's like you would think on paper she sucks, but you're kind of sometimes glad to have one, you know? give her a B. That's like being generous. It's like, I don't even know why she's in the B category, because she's not as good as Bloodhound, Caustic, fucking any of these people. But there's just something that just kind of gives me, I'll put her in C. I'll feel better. I could sleep better if I put her in C. I don't know. I feel like that's good. I feel like that's good.